TOMz.
Yeah, but what's going on, Sanborani? What's up? What's good? Welcome to another fresh episode of Teenagers on a Mission. Coming out on your #1 channel, SABC Mzansi for sure. Let me tell you something you didn't know. This is the best science and technology show ever.
Definitely now, but I'm going to see and Lona get Katie. And you know what, the guys will always show you why science is just so much fun and it's just so awesome.
But it's definitely point Chad. What pay I mean, Bonan?
I don't know the answer to that question, eh?
How can you much?
Guys.
Well, thing in Chad again, but it's when you look at something, the eyes actually sending information to your brain.
Yeah.
So eyesight is one of the primary ways where humans take in information.
But are actually born with outside, but sometimes abanye actually lose it later on in life. So Betlanga actually lost his sight. A second chance are just so awesome.
Yeah,
are you ready? Well, let's get it. Here's what's coming up on today's episode of TOMz. Upilani was living the life as a young dude when he was devastated by losing his sight. While thinking he'll never see again, an incredible group of people pulled together to help. What are those weird floaty things you see in your eyes sometimes? Well, Tola Gabanti. The early days of eye care were pretty scary. Tola Gabanti, why scientists are so excited about the future of eye care. And about you only see certain types of light on Earth. But what if we could see literally everything? Well, Tola Gabanti, right here in TOMz, Abash. I can be fit in Joseph TOMz on Patilintez Imnan Namhlanje. Net Ganjala now on Facebook. So let's understand, is it possible to gain your sight back? Yes, it's actually possible. With technology these days, anything is possible. Very, very true. No, it is not possible. Thank you so much for those responses. Keep those comments coming in on Facebook and on Twitter. Facebook.com/TOMz. On Twitter, we're simply at TOMz_SABC_1.
Running the streets of KZN, we're fair to touch down at Damini. So Kulumang Science and Technology. So Kulumang Gift of Sight. And right next to me is a beautiful lady. Hello.
Hey.
Unjan.
LP.
Oh, grand.
Yeah.
Umnandi.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Nonhlanhla Tsimbini.
Okay, Nonhlanhla ngifuna ukuyana ne. What happens to your eyes and your brain when you see something? Ubona something emehlweni nasengqondweni izikhiphani kenzakalani?
Sometimes when ngiyithande nje ukuthi ngiyitheke noma nje ngingayithandi mhlambe.
Do you think it's possible for ukuthi abantu abablind abavele bangaboni babone in the future?
Yeah, I think it's possible to bazobona in the future because bakhona abadoctor abantu abazobasiza, so I think it's possible.
Angeke yenze
Ngoba
azale ngaboni. In future abone. Ayibo. Cha.
Angeke.
Yeah.
Ngoba
Ngoba uzale ungaboni.
bukhona abadoctor mos.
Bakhona kodwa abangazama ukusiza.
So bangakusiza ubone. Or when you still say ukuthi bawuzala ungabona ayeke uphinde ubone.
Angibuthi bangakusiza kodwa angiboni.
Okay. Mangingathi manje ne ukuvala amehlo. Ungafila kanjani?
Very, very bad.
What would you miss ukuyibona?
My friends, my family, ngisakwazi babona, maybe yabo. Ngiyayithandela ukuhleka yabo. So izinto eziningi ngiyengikwazi ukuyibona, yabo. Uyibona sebetshela mina ngizobabelieve kanjani ukuthi ngempela lento eyenzekile. So I think I will feel bad.
Canibukela TOMz SABC Mzansi for sure.
Make some noise. So girls buza ukuthi kahle color sibona kanjani? Well, siyazi bafethu ukuthi color is how we experience the world. And bakhona abanye abantu who can't see certain colors. You know what I mean? Well, some sebheka ukuthi kahle le video le khuluma kanjani.
Now, in the retina of your eyes, there are light-detecting cones, which contain 3 different types of pigments that are sensitive to different types of light waves. Now, the same cone can detect more than one wavelength, but we can still categorize the cones as red, green, or blue. Now, if you can see all colors, it means your red, green, and blue cones are working properly, and you may call yourself a trichromat. Abanye abantu are actually dichromat, which means they only have 2 types of cones instead of 3. Now, local affects about 2% of all men who are missing either red or green cones. Now, they can't tell the difference between red, orange, yellow, or green. Now, Amaglasi Amandulo didn't have an earpiece, which meant readers had to hold them in place in front of their eyes the whole time. Now, during the Second World War from 1939 to 1945, ama-antibiotics lana emzansi ebengekho for ophthalmologists to use. Now, lokhu kusho ukuthi surgery or suggestions on hygiene were mostly the only solution to vision problems, which often meant losing an eye. Abanye doctor in this time even believed that removing certain teeth could fix an eye infection.
Seeing is such a constant part of everyday life that it actually takes up half of the brain's capacity.
No wonder why sitting with your eyes closed really helps you relax.
So guys, share why you appreciate seeing on our social media pages, that's Facebook and Twitter. But am I going to take a short ad break? We'll be back.
I give a bit and I'm gonna as we continue today's epic installment of TOMz.
If you just joined us, but tonight we're talking about the gift of sight. Imagine seeing if bangabon in bed, I wouldn't be able to see myself. I wouldn't even be able to see my best friend.
I'm
so grateful ukuthi ngiyakhona.
Definitely naba fethu nami ngiyajabuthi ngiyakwazi ukungibona ngoba ngabe nimisa out kakhulu ebole yonto. But anyways, just to see ukuthi kahle kahle ukubona ku important kanjani empilweni. So behlangana nomuntu who actually lost his sight kodwa ke wathola a second chance. Yazi ukuthini? Ake sibhekeni.
Hi bafethu, igama lami nguPhilane ngokwathwala isibongo. Namhlanje ngivakashelwe abantu baka TOMz, ngizobathatha ngibayise ka Vision Mission lapho engithole khona usizo. Zokalani bafethu. Ngaqala ukungaboni angisesemncane kakhulu but I think benginaboma 7. Yeah, mara bengibona just bengibona kancane then lokhu kuya ngokuya manje ngifuna sengilipressa sengiyafifiyela mangibhekile into because into bengayiboni wani lokhu ke ngiye esibhedlela ke lokhu ngiye esibhedlela balokhu banginika umuthi then bangitshela vele ukuthi operation bazongenza mase isikhathi si-right because abantu akumele bayenze i-Cornea Transplant baningi so bathi vele nami ngiselistini vele yabo laba bazoyenza operation angahlala ke lokhu ngiyavela esibhedlela ke since ngenza operation yokuqala ke impilo yami yashintsha because bengibona ukuthi angiboni vele thutha kodwa mina vele bese ngiphila isikhathi eside ngaboni kahle then thema bangenza i-operation yokuqala mangibona i-different ukuthi awu lamehlo vele awaboni ngikufana leli abalenza operation lengcono kunaleli then ngajabula ke because vele nami sengibona ukuthi themba vele senginalo ithemba lokuthi ngizobona then la operation yona ngiphathe kahle kakhulu because bengikwazi ukubona wonke umuntu noma ubani nje ondlulayo Thayi Philane nami ngakwazi ukumbulisa kahle futhi chance wala na ngidlale nami sengikwazi ukudlala i-disc namachitami ngokudlala vele ibhola then yeah kuba mnandi ngihlezi ngijabule before ngizenza operation time vele ngisesenenkinga yamehlo ngistruggle kakhulu because ukufunda nje phambi kwabantu nje ukufunda ngingafundi but eclassini mangifunda bengalali umuntu makangibona kusho ukuthi iphepha bengivele ngibeke phezu kwedesk then ngilikhave then ngilale ngifunde omunye umuntu makangibhekile ucathi ngilele yabona mangibuya ke kumele mangibuya ngihambe nomngane nomawani because ke mina indlela bengibonela nje la eduzane la kule ukuthi phambili kwenzakalana angiboni and noma ngidlula umuntu laphayana ngiyambuza ukuthi indoda okwando ya makubhekelela i-TV bengifike ngihlale eduze nayo phambili thola ngihlele nabo abangani bami sometimes sibhekelele movie hlale nabo and mangihlala mina kusho ukuthi bengisondela ku-TV ke then bakhala ngokuthi ngiyabasitha ngikhifte ngemuva mangisemuva ngiboni then sekukuthi vele ngiyababuza ukuthi amadoda nahleka nodwa kwenzakalani laphaya hayi ndoda kanti awuboni nabona abanye babo vele bebangazi uthalo umuntu akaboni.
So kahle kahle thina sibona kanjani? Amehlo wethu awasendi iy'thombe to our brains. Instead, our eyes send signals to our brains through the optic nerve, which contains line and motion. Now, when our brains receive the lines and motions, they interpret the information to recognize what the lines actually represent. Now, ingakho-ke ingane and young toddlers get so confused, their brains haven't been trained to recognize everything around them yet. Now, our brains also get used to the things our eyes see and later start ignoring some of the things we don't actually need to pay attention to. Now, this is why you often don't know all the details of a poster that has been on your wall for years.
Jabulile because TOMz izongithatha ingisuka abantu abancedile abe-vision machine. Because bengabazi vele bona, but namhlanje ukujabulela futhi ukubazi nokubabona futhi. Nami ngibabonge because lento abangenzele yona enkulu.
My name is Akil Aswat. I'm an ophthalmologist, and what that basically means is we treat eye diseases, things that require surgery. Those types of patients would come to see us. Filani has a condition called keratoconus, which is a disease of the cornea, and what happens is the cornea becomes weak. So if I just show you on a diagram what basically happens. So this is the eye, that's the front of the eye, and that's the eye cut in half. And what gets affected in keratoconus is the cornea in the eye. This is a clear window in the front of the eye. And what happens to this clear window is it becomes very weak and it just starts to bend forward. And that starts to affect the vision when you get that bending forward of the cornea. And that's basically what happened to Filani's cornea. And because of that distortion of his vision, it made it impossible for him to see things. So if he was sitting in a classroom where the other kids next to him would be able to read the words on the chalkboard, Filani barely made out the outline of the chalkboard. So he could just see the outline of the chalkboard. Or if he was looking at his teacher, he could just see the outline of his teacher. He couldn't see facial detail on his teacher. So his vision was severely affected by this condition. So Filani came to see me about a year ago. He was brought to me by a very gracious lady called Linda Nevold. And she suggested that Filani come see me because he had this condition and he's been suffering it from keratoconus for about 10 years. And he wasn't able to receive help for those 10 years. And when I saw Filani, I realized that he needed some help and it needed to be done quickly because he was losing out at school, he wasn't managing, and that's when we decided to do a cornea transplant for Filani. So with the cornea transplant, we basically remove the cornea from the patient and we replace it with a new cornea from a donor. Someone who has donated the cornea, and that's how we restored Filani's vision. Generally, it's a very successful operation, so about 90% of the time it works very well. The main risk with the cornea transplant is rejection. What happens is you get toxins that the blood brings into the cornea, and those toxins can cause a rejection of that cornea. But fortunately, the cornea normally is a clear structure with no blood vessels. And that's what makes a cornea transplant such a successful operation. And in the body, it is the most successful transplantation in the body because of this, because there are no blood vessels in the cornea. So when he sits here, he's got 90% vision in his left eye, and he's got about 95% vision in his right eye. So he's doing excellent. He's better than we could expect.
Well, in the universe, Nema boy, there are different wavelengths of light. Yes. Some lights we can see, some lights we can't.
What if we could see all different types of light? Do you know my infrared and my UV rays?
Well, if you tell us your thoughts on our social media pages, Cornea, we're gonna take a short ad break. Yeah, boy!
TOMz. TOMz.
Oh, yeah, yes, my friends, and I'm going to start with TOMz right here on SABC Mzansi for sure.
That is right, Bafethu. And we're talking about the gift of sight. Yes. Literally, Bafethu. How lucky we are if we are still able to see the world around us.
No, 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 double-keda khuluma ngalo uthatha silifaka amafutheni silifaka i-accelerator yayibona lento. Ngoba so kahle kahle kungaba njani if abantu were able to see all different types of light. Ngoba phela ube umuntu ubona nje ama-wavelength amalo. Ngoba manje ke back to our guest.
Let's get it.
My name is Geraldine Engelman. I am the CSI manager for State Clinical Theatres. You are currently at our head office, and the CSI program that we're currently involved in, it's called Vision Mission. And what we do is we assist young learners with especially those with degenerating eyesight, whether it is through corneal transplant or whether it is by giving them spectacles. One of the major challenges with eyesight is keratoconus, which obviously is related to not being able to see properly or not being able to see, colors, etc. The young man that we obviously help is Pilani Twala, young man from, Katlehome, which is outside, Katlehome and Palm Ridge. How we met him was actually through a young girl called Manolo. Manolo has been quite, I think, played an important role in identifying him. I think it was the love for her to do good. And so Pilani, she said that she wanted to help him with both corneal transplants. And obviously it's cost a lot of money. And so that's how we were introduced, to him. On the one hand, we were able to assist a young child that was not able to see properly. On the other hand, it was broadening our campaign to help other children out there. And the way we do it is obviously we've asked patrons to assist. So if you go to our self-service terminals, there's an amount of R2.50 that you can add onto your ticket. And that R2.50 is being used, for children like Pilani that is not being able, to see. And we will be providing some corneal transplants for the next couple of years, I guess, through the assistance of the patrons. I think, for Pilani that was not able to see for 10 years, it must have been a great challenge for him. I was always concerned about, academically how he, was coping at the time. So these last 10 years is really just, I think, grabbed at kind of clutching straws, trying to survive with his eyesight. Okay, well, thanks, Pilani, for coming.
Thank you.
And I'll see you again soon. All right.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Sharp bafethu. Njengoba nanibe senizibonele ukuthi iTOMz ngithathile azongiletha ukuthi ngizohlangana nalabantu abangincedile kwazi ukubhekelela imovie. Jabule kakhulu ngokuthi ngibukele imovie. Peace.
Now, you can see small little specks or shadowy shapes floating in your eyes. Now, these are actually called floaters and are all small pieces of protein called collagen. It's totally normal though, and so is seeing stars when you get up too fast. Now, when you've been sitting or lying down for a little while and suddenly stand up, you sometimes see specks of light as if they're actually real. This is because there is not enough blood flow to your eyes in that moment, which means the eyes are deprived of oxygen and sugar. It then fires off abnormal signals, triggering your brain into thinking you're actually seeing light while there isn't any. I got my friend Naz go to TOMz yathanda ukuphuma izey'koleni zenu sodlala nani sichileni kube mnandi kube kanjalo uyayibona. So wena lapha ekhaya if uyayibona escreen sakho then head on over onto our Facebook and Twitter pages. Ufike uyitag, ufike ulike, ufike futhi ucomment. Noma ke uma usafuna iTOMz izesikoleni sakho then all you have to do is simply drop us an email on tomz@sabc.co.za. For now though, let's see what went down.
Hi guys, how you guys doing? Ni grand, ni mnandi, ni fresh. Okay guys, niyazi ukuthi amehlo abaluleke kakhulu ngisho. Because amehlo it's the only thing esiyenza ukuthi sibe ne-ability ukuthi sibona ngisho. Sibona abangani bethu, sibona abazali bethu, sikwazi ukufunda ngisho guys. So ngizonitshela ukuthi khona iwebsite ebizwa nge-webmd.com ne le website le infundisa ukuthi unganakekela kanjani amehlo wakho nokuthi yini into osuzibheke with your naked eye or izinto ongazibheki with your naked eye. I know guys, how dope is that? Imnandi?
Yeah, nginanda.
So nizoya khona ne www.webmd.com uzoyivakashela le website.
Okay.
Okay, uzoya now.
Yeah, ngizoya.
Okay, cool. Ngizonibona guys ne. Sharp. So ama-scientists nabanye abantu with vision problems are so excited about the future of eye care. Kodwa why, Check this out.
Now, ngezinye ikhathi uma ubheka into ethile, our brains try to fast forward 1/10 of a second to predict what will happen. Now, this causes us to see something that is actually not real, but our own distorted prediction of the future. Now, lezi zinto lezi zibizwa ngama-illusions and ziyasidida ukuthi sicabanga ukuthi sibone izinto ezingempela kanti dololo. Scientists are working on smart lenses that have sensors and microchips that can monitor our eye health 24/7. And iningi labantu believe that scientists will be able to cure blindness in the next 15 years. Yo, bafethu, curing blindness. Now that sounds like something just so exciting. Now see abantu lesibona ama-wavelength amancane nje futhi ahlukahlukene. Mina into engibuzayo ukuthi kahle kahle, what if besingakwazi ukwabona wonke?
There are many types of lights in the spectrum, like UV lights from the sun and infrared, which we use with my TV remote. Some animals can see UV lights, which helps them to find a mate and food. Kodwa, if abantu could see it, everything would have a whitish blue color, which might be very annoying. Human bodies actually emit infrared light, so if you could see it, everyone would look like they are glowing. You'd also be able to see friends through their clothes and walls, and who knows what else. Seeing X-rays would be pretty cool. You could check out your friend's skeleton and see them on the other side of the house. Kodwa, you'd never be able to see anything because they'd appear through your eyelids. And just about anything in the universe emits radio waves. So if you saw them, you'd experience a very dark red light before you're completely blinded. Aha mfethu TOMz iniphathele indaba ezimnandi khona lapha emakhaya.
Njalo kayibeshana yazi sinobele sethanda ukuphisa nawo kufika ixesha lokhu phisa.
So wena lapha ekhaya une-idea episode ufuna ukuyibona khona la ku-TOMz, all you have to do is
send us the idea bafethu, and if it's fresh and brilliant, we'll make it a TOMz official episode khona la ku SABC 1.
And not only that, kaloku beshana, you get a goodie bag as well as a skipper sa ku TOMz 1.
So wena lapha ekhaya, all you have to do is send through your ideas on Facebook, which is facebook.com/TOMz. On Twitter, we are simply @TOMz_SABC_1.
Thank you for joining us on this epic episode, but unfortunately, le bus iphelela la brega wo. If you want to communicate with us, all you got to do is catch us on our social media pages. We are at TOMz_SABC_1 or Fresh by Caddy on Twitter.
I am Sia_G on Twitter. Now, bafethu, when for more information, TOMz, all you have to do is simply visit our website or www.tomz.co.za. For now, though, from myself and Kenny, it's goodbye and goodbye and goodbye.
Next time on TOMz, every year 10 girls get to explore the world of engineering through a winter camp. This gives them the exposure to what career in the field would mean for their lives. We see satellite dishes everywhere. Discover some amazing women who helped shape the history of engineering. See where this field will open up more. Sola how you can learn more about this field and the people in it. And what if this profession was completely closed for women? Tune in to SABC 1 every Monday and Tuesday to watch Teenagers on a Mission.